This is the Aptitude Outdoors podcast, where we interview travelers, explorers, and outdoorsmen and women to bring you the best tips and stories from around the world. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Aptitude Outdoors podcast here on YouTube. If you can, go down below, hit that subscribe button. Tonight, I'm talking to Danny and Molly of Let's Trek Together. You can find them on Facebook, Instagram, and their YouTube channel, so head over there and check that out if you can. Danny and Molly thru-hiked the Appalachian Trail in 2020, and when I initially talked to them, they were still on their thru-hike, but I followed up with them after and got the rest of the story, so this is going to be a two-part episode with Let's Trek Together. Let's dive right into it. Hey everybody, we got Danny and Molly here, otherwise known as, Lavagirl and Sharkboy. Yep. Currently thru-hiking the AT. Why don't you guys give everyone a little backstory about who you are and where you made this decision to thru-hike, because that's one hell of a decision.
Okay, yeah. So we both graduated college with our bachelors back in 2019 in May. After that, we got jobs in September as teachers. We both graduated with music education backgrounds. We both taught high school choir from September to January. We filled in as substitutes for high school maternity leave positions. And then from January on, we had the rest of the year off. So during our senior year, we hiked a lot, just honestly to cope with the stress of senior year and moving on in life and everything. And so we thought an Appalachian Trail Thru-hike was somewhere in our future. We didn't realize how fast and soon it was going to be, but we had January off until the end of the year. So we decided to let's just do it in 2020.
Heck yeah. It sounds very similar to what happened with me. I got an itch to do it, and then I graduated, and I just hit the trail like immediately, like the day after I hit graduation. So, how are you guys holding up out there? You're towards the end here. How many miles you got left?
487 miles left. So
feels like nothing at this point, probably.
Yeah. Yeah, we kept talking about when we hit the 500-mile marker, which is where the Grayson Highlands are in Virginia, and thinking about that moment now and how long it took us to get to that place. And now we're at the under 500 mile. It's just ridiculous how fast the time flew out here.
Yeah.
How'd you get your trail names? Those are pretty interesting ones. I've never come across those types.
It's a Sharkboy and Lavagirl is a terrible movie from the early 2000s. It's a children's movie. It's like playoff of Spy Kids, if you ever heard that movie. But our entirety of Georgia, we had one day of nice weather. We had 6.5 days of rain. My hair was a lot shorter back then. And so in the rain, my hair would spike up like the character Sharkboy in that movie. And so that is how I was deemed Sharkboy.
Yeah, and so after he was deemed Sharkboy, it seemed fitting for me to be Lavagirl. And then I got sun poisoning and sunburnt like crazy the first week out on trail. And I overheat all the time, so I was constantly pink and red. And then I almost burnt down our tent when we hit the North Carolina-Georgia border. So I was definitely living up to the name.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's always interesting to see how people got their trail names. So you guys look like you're currently in a hostel somewhere. Where are you located?
We are actually platinum blazing at the moment.
Nice.
We're from New Jersey, so both of our moms decided to come and visit us in Vermont, and they rented an Airbnb, so we are reaping all the benefits off of that right now.
That's sweet. When I was we were like right past the halfway point, and my family came and visited us. We stayed in a hotel for like 3 days. Didn't even hit the trail. We just sat there. We were going to slack pack and do all this stuff. We just sat in the hotel. I was like, I'm not moving anymore. I'm super tired. So, you guys have any really awesome adventures? Because it's so different. All the people I've interviewed that have been thru-hikers are people I knew from the trail, and we're talking for me 5-6 years ago now. And like we started to forget everything, so it's probably still pretty fresh to you guys. Do you have any like first experiences out there that kind of were like, whoa, what the hell?
I would say honestly, our first day back out. So basically, what happened with our hike is that we started on March 16th. And then March 17th is when the ATC letter came out asking all the thru-hikers to go off trail. And we were kind of like, you know what, we just started this. We're going to try and go a little bit further until basically we couldn't get a resupply or we couldn't get somewhere to stay. So we got about 12 days into our hike and then had to get off for 5 weeks. And so the Smoky Mountains closed down, and that's why we really got off, because we didn't want to have to skip around them. And so we waited till they got opened back up, and then our first day back out on trail started out beautiful, sunny, and wonderful weather. We got some really awesome views, and then we were eating lunch, and within probably a minute, like complete change in weather, complete gray skies, and it started hailing. So we were like, okay, quick and packing everything up really fast. And then the hail turned into rain. And then by the time we got to the shelter we were staying at, the rain had turned into snow. So we had sunny weather, hail, rain, and snow all on our first day, which was just welcome back to the trail. Here you are. Like, let's get this adventure going, which was pretty crazy.
Absolutely. This year, especially with things getting shut down, reopening, what's that process like? Was it like, were you nervous that you weren't going to be able to get back out on the trail? Because I know when I was through hiking, we didn't have to deal with any of this stuff. I mean, we all got injured once or twice, and that's like a heart crushing moment when you're like, absolutely. I just put all this effort and time into it, and now I potentially can't do it anymore. So what was that? What did it feel like when you had to go home? Were you guys terrified?
I guess we were so stubborn to the point that we were so determined to do some form of thru hike by the end of 2020 that we started coming up with like plan A, plan B, plan C. If we can't get back out on trail on this date, we're going to switch to this trail. I know we were talking about trying to do the PCT then Sovo if the AT got too late in the season and we still couldn't get back on. But actually another story going off of the pandemic, when we got back out on trail, the Smokies just reopened. And I know the Smokies are pretty notorious for being like overpacked in shelters, and people just kind of want to run through the national park in general just to get through it. We had every single shelter to ourselves, and I think we saw one thru-hiker through our entire Smoky experience. It was very communal with nature, and it was a cool experience.
Yeah, not only just one thru-hiker, I think we saw 2 day hikers, and that was about it. Like, we saw nobody because we were there the day they opened back up. So it was a pretty crazy experience for a national park.
That's got to be pretty crazy, yeah. Because when I was there, it was like just like you said. It was, we were camping. You're not supposed to sleep. You're not supposed to camp or whatever if there's room in a shelter. Like every place we stayed was just packed. We were full. We had to camp. Did you guys run into any bears in the Smokies?
Yes, we ran into almost all the wildlife in the Smokies. Yeah. I think we saw wild boars like running in a herd.
Lots of deer.
At camp one night there was, I think, 6 or 7 deer like right outside of the shelter. Very curious, just like walking right up to the shelter. It was cool. Just not a lot of people and a lot of wildlife instead. It was definitely a fun experience.
The trail has kind of been overrun with nature right now, since there weren't, especially that first month being back out on trail after people being off for so long, the animals kind of started running rampant all over. So they were definitely way more prominent than they usually are, I would say, which was a great experience for us. We got to experience a lot of really cool sights.
What's your favorite state so far?
Oh boy.
I feel like I'm going to be really biased since we're right here, but Vermont has blown just everything out of the water.
Yeah.
North Carolina is beautiful.
Yeah.
Nantahala National Forest has been some of the most beautiful sights that we've seen so far. I think that's going to change the minute we hit the New Hampshire border. I'm super looking forward to that. And then with Maine, everyone says we've been actually hitting all the southbound thru-hikers right now. We started seeing a ton of them. And they just keep saying, just you wait till you get there. You have no idea how beautiful it's going to get. So at this moment, those are the states, but I have a feeling that'll change in about a week when we hit New Hampshire.
The Mid-Atlantic was tough for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Mid-Atlantic is just like a grind, man. Like once you get into Virginia and basically to the time you get up to Vermont, it's just a grind. It feels like, because the newness has worn off. It's not like exciting anymore. You're like, I just got to walk.
Yep. The minute we finished the Grayson Highlands, we were like, the honeymoon phase is over. It's just time to like wake up, get the miles done. There were some beautiful parts, but we definitely got the Virginia blues. I think halfway through Virginia, we were tired. We were really tired.
Did you notice any dietary changes, like needs based off of hiking so much? Because I know everybody is all about hiker hunger and this and that, but it's like something you feel deep in your body. When did you guys kind of get that hit with that?
It was I thought it was going to be like from 0 to 100 before getting on trail, since people talk about it. It was very progressive for me, at least.
Mm-hmm.
So like when we first started, I wasn't really eating my food, whether it was just because I wasn't that hungry. And then we got probably to mid-Tennessee, and I was realizing I was going through my day's worth of food, but I still wasn't that hungry. But the minute we hit like Maryland, Pennsylvania, like I was like ravenous, and now I am even more ravenous.
Yeah.
So I guess what I've noticed in my food change is nothing different food wise, but for like a 3-day stretch, I'm packing like 5 days worth of food.
Yeah.
just to get the calories up.
I think definitely the longer you go on, the more you realize your body needs certain things as well. So at the beginning, you might be having like a packet of oatmeal for breakfast and then like, you know, ramen for lunch or rice side for dinner. And then you start realizing, oh, like my body actually needs food that's going to sustain me. So you start trying to get like dried fruit as much as possible. Whenever we go in, like whenever we leave a town, I try and pack out like as much fruit as I can. And then also just trying to find variety, because you get sick of eating the same stuff over and over again.
It was, by the time we hit Maine, well, granted, it was October, so it was like freezing cold when we were up there. And we were literally eating like per person a box of family size Oreos a day and like a package of Twizzlers. And like, but it was so cold, they're burning like the hiking calories, and then you're burning calories from freezing. So it was intense. I know part of the appeal to a lot of people on the AT is basically being to eat like a reckless animal and like stopping at all these places, like these famous places to get food or getting all these cheeseburgers and stuff. Has that been a challenge since like, you know, everybody has to wear masks now and everything, or a lot of these places only open for like takeout, or how's that working?
I think the most depressing thing about this year is we've heard all about the buffets all along the trail, and we haven't been able to go to a single buffet. I know one of the most famous ones is Ming's, I think, in Waynesboro. And we got there the day before it reopened. Yeah. So, that's been tough.
It really depends on the state you're in, though, because when we were in Massachusetts, they had dine-in restaurants. And so there we were eating like a lot of, with our family, the guys that were eating 2 meals or 3 meals. So they'd be ordering like 3 full-on sets of meals. But it's really been a lot of just snacking. So you make sure your hotel is by a Walmart or a Dollar General. That way you can just walk across and get food whenever you need it. Yeah.
That's something that I learned real early on with the trail is like, you think it's going to be this like stage by stage thing, and you got to do this and that, and then you're going to get a 0 day to kind of chill. And it's always like a 0 day is not relaxing at all. It's like doing all your chores.
Yes.
Do you guys find that?
And then a Nero day is even worse. You're just like, you're just picking up the pieces and absolutely. It feels pretty chaotic.
Yeah, especially whenever we do Nero, we try and make it 10 miles or under. And that's a day like you're waking up at 5 and getting those miles done as fast as possible so you have as much time in town. Because with laundry, if you have to go to a laundromat, you're sitting there waiting and it's like, okay, well, the laundry's going, maybe I can go get my food. And by the time it's back, I can then go resupply and do this and do that. So yeah, it's hard.
When you guys are together as a couple, so it makes it easier, right? Like, because my wife and I thru-hike together, we did. So it's interesting getting another couple perspective, because we could split up the chores. Like if you're out there as one person, you have to do all of it, but like you can walk to the store, you can go to the laundromat, and that's got to that made my life a world easier, because like it's like conquer and divide.
Yeah, absolutely. I would agree with that.
Yeah, it definitely helps having an extra person, an extra hands to do whatever you need. It's great for the resupply too, because a lot of the time, if you're only doing like a 3-day stretch and these packages come, we're able to split up the food so you don't have as much leftover. So if you buy a box of breakfast essentials or a box of the peanut butter crackers that come with like 8, you can divide it between the 2 of us, which is really nice for like a budget sense.
What are you sick of?
Mashed potatoes.
Mashed potatoes, day 3. That was it. I'm done.
Those Idahoan potatoes, I get nauseous walking down the aisle looking at them.
I like still can't eat tuna.
Surprisingly, we haven't gotten sick of tuna yet.
Yeah.
Have you?
No. And another one I say is peanut butter. Peanut butter is hard to eat now. I love it, but
ramen's getting pretty bland at this point. We're buying the dollar ramens, so you can put all like the fancy sauces in it and the dehydrated vegetables in, just so it's not the 25-cent ramen.
Yeah.
So Do you guys feel super strong at this point? Because I remember getting to Vermont and being like, this is nothing.
Yeah. I guess the Mid-Atlantic was mentally abusive because like we got there. When we started in March, we were hoping to get through the Mid-Atlantic before it got too hot. And then having to get off for 5 weeks, like we hit Virginia, Maryland, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York, all when it was 90 plus every single day. So I think like trail legs wise, we felt really good, but like from the sun and from the heat, we felt so tired all the time. But finally, when we hit the Vermont border, I think we were used to 60, 70 degree nights, and it dropped to like 40 or 50, I guess because of cold front as well.
Yeah.
But it made our trail legs just like fly. Like we were going up some of those hills for the past 80 miles. Like it was nothing.
Yeah. Like Killington, we just climbed Killington 2 days ago. And that, I think honestly also because that the Mid-Atlantic is so flat and those climbs are so short, now we're getting back into those 3-4 mile climbs. Our body wants to do them. They're like, thank you, give me a real mountain to climb because we've just been doing walking for so long.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's hard though. I think my body definitely is feeling the aftermath of just hiking for so long continuously. So we are starting to get to that point, I think, as well, of just getting a little run down and tired. It's definitely just progressively getting used to getting more and more tired as you go. Are you mentally prepared for the next couple of weeks? What's your kind of like, what are you guys thinking your end date's going to be? Summit date?
We're hoping to finish by October 1st.
Okay. I would highly recommend before the end of October because it's so nasty. You're going to keep getting colder and colder and colder.
Yeah. No, we just got our cold gear and we're like excited to use that again. But yeah, we went up to the White Mountains last year, just as like a weekend trip. So we know what to expect, at least with that hiking. It's gonna be tough since we kind of have that deadline, and we know it's not gonna get any easier.
Yeah, we talked to a guy that was hiking northbound. He had flipped up and started going south. When he hit Duncannon, Pennsylvania, he flipped up to Katahdin, and we met him the other day actually, which was really cool. And he was telling us, he's like, my mileage, he was doing 25s a day, and he was like, it got cut in half. He's told us he was doing 12 miles a day because you can't physically go more than like a mile per hour in the Whites because of just the hand over hand climbing that you're doing. So we're definitely preparing, right now, I think if we do 13 miles every single day with no breaks at all, we will make it by October 1st. So what we're trying to do is in Vermont, with this little bit we have left before we hit the Whites, try and bank up a couple extra miles every day. That way we have a little bit of buffer room to take zeros and take narrows when we need them. But hopefully,
the Whites are pretty, from my experience, from what I remember, there's a few hairy spots in the Whites, but overall, since they're such popular destinations, they're not as terrible. But I found Maine really killed us because like it's like compounding. Like you just got beat up by the Whites a little bit and like places are fewer and further between. And then, it's like, I mean, it's not going to be challenging for you in the sense because you've already done you've done 75% of the trail. So it's just like the Whites are sweet, like a good build up for Maine. And then Maine is like, oh shit. It's like this is what I've been training for the last 5.5 months, because it's just like everything that you've learned since you started comes into play, like the strength, knowing how to pack your food properly, understanding like the cold weather stuff, understanding the more technical climbing, all it's like what you do every day. So it's like the moment you're built for, and then you get to Katahdin and you're just going to be like, oh boy, this is it. Are you guys excited for the end, or are you kind of bummed?
Both.
Yeah.
We've definitely caught the bug for it.
Yeah.
We definitely have already talked about doing another through hike. So I think at least my mindset is like, I'm so excited to get to Katahdin, and I know it's going to be very overwhelmingly emotional, but that it's not going to be the last time that I through hike, whether it's a long distance, like a really long trail, or a shorter long trail. So yeah, I'm overwhelmed at the moment.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to each and every day now as it's getting more and more beautiful, which I think is going to help us with how just hard the climbing and the hiking is going to get. Just the adrenaline rush of being up and completely above tree line exposure and seeing all those beautiful views, I think is definitely going to give us that adrenaline we need to do it. But I'm going to be very, very sad when this is over. I was going back to when we had to get off trail after 12 days. I was devastated, like bawling my eyes out. So sad I had to go home. So I know that moment when we finish is going to be super, super emotional.
Was there any like thing that sparked your interest in the Appalachian Trail, or was it just kind of something you guys did on a whim?
So we were down in the Smokies our senior year of college during spring break. We just took a road trip down there. We hiked Charlie's Bunyan. I think we knew it was on the Appalachian Trail, but I don't think we realized that it was through hiking season at the time, or that's when the Thru-Hikers, the bubble was coming through. So we met a ton of Thru-Hikers, picked their brains about it. At least that's when I caught the bug for it. I was like, okay, this is something that I need to do like within the next 5 years. So that was, at least for me, it was more day hiking and like getting interested in backpacking that really sparked my interest for Thru-hike.
Yeah, I definitely think the seed was planted for me in the Smokies, but it was very much like, oh, that'll be a bucket list thing I do at some point, whether it's soon or whether it's when I retire, I'll want to do it. And then also I think then when we did our first backpacking trip and we had so much fun, we did an overnight in Harriman State Park, not on the AT, but in the vicinity of the AT. So we saw a little bit of what that was like, and that was just so much fun. And then the next trip we did after we had decided that we were going to Thru-hike, we did a 3-night trip in Superstition Wilderness in Arizona right outside Phoenix, and that was just like the best thing in the world. And after that, it's like, all right, I know this is what I want to do. Like, this has definitely become a very, very popular thing in my life that I want to continue to do.
So have you guys noticed your gears change quite a bit throughout the hike? Or kind of
we actually just bought new backpacks. We bought it in Massachusetts. We originally went with the Z-Packs Arcall Zip 64 liters, and it was just such a big backpack. It was so big. It was so bulky. And we were like, once we get to actual bouldering and like climbing, we are not going to want these things that go down past our butts, like going over those hills. So our backpacks have at least changed. Aside from that, I don't think most of our gear has changed.
Shoes. We started with Ultra Lone Peaks, like everybody does. And very quickly realized that they were not going to get us through that hike. So we actually switched to the Hoka One trail runners, and those things have been such a blessing.
Everyone on trail this year has switched to Hokas. I feel like they've like taken over at least the Appalachian Trail.
Yeah, now REI has paired with them as well, so they're partnering and they're going to start selling them, which is really exciting. So they're definitely taking over.
We love our Hokas.
Well, I hiked in giant ass like Merrell hiking boots, so
oh really?
But I have 14 wide feet, and I could every time we went to a store on the trail, I could never find a shoe. I just had to. I ordered like 3 pairs, had them sent to my parents' house, and whenever they started falling apart, I was like, yo, I'm going to be here in like 5 days. Can you ship me my boots? But did you guys have your shoes fall apart on you at all? Or do you just keep buying new ones?
Just keep buying new ones. Probably about once we hit like 600 miles, we're like, okay, like these are toast, like time to get new ones.
Yeah, they definitely start to peel apart a little bit on the edges, but they haven't actually fallen apart. It's really, you can just tell your feet start to hurt like crazy the minute you start hitting that 500 mile range. So the minute that happens, you're like, okay, time to get new shoes.
You guys doing the like rock plate inserts, or are you just kind of just going with the standard?
We're using Superfeet as our inserts.
Superfeet.
Yeah.
Those things are great. I never knew about them until I hiked on the AT. I like ran into my first shop, and they're like, dude, what are you doing? I was like, what do you mean, what am I doing? They're like, you need Superfeet. I was like, you're right, I do. These things are the best.
That was Hot Springs for us.
Yeah, Hot Springs.
So how'd your parents react when they smelled you guys getting in when they first picked you up?
Apparently we smell good. We use deodorant on trail, and everyone hates us for it. But we're convinced that it does help us. So
it wasn't necessarily this stretch, but so living in New Jersey, we live like a half hour from the Delaware Water Gap. So we actually did a 00 to spend time with our family when we hit Jersey. And that I got in the car with my brother and my dad. They drove us home, and he didn't say anything at that point. And then I was just standing in the kitchen talking to my family, and they were all staring at me going, you need to go shower. Like, please go shower.
When my family picked us up from Katahdin, they literally, it was like winter conditions, and they were like rolling the windows down, and they still talk about it to this day of how bad we smelled. Because it was like you couldn't just hop in a stream anymore because it was cold.
It was too cold. Yeah.
Yeah, you just
for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, like your socks get all crusty because you can't scrub them out at the end of the day, and stuff was freezing over. Have you guys? I don't remember. You guys gotten some like big river crossing yet? Because I know there's a ton in Maine where you're just constantly taking your pack off.
Yeah, we haven't.
Nothing?
Not yet.
Nope, we haven't hit it yet.
It's gonna be really cold.
Are you guys just gonna do those in your shoes, or what's your plan for that? Because I had what are they called? They were just like those sandals with the boot soles on them. I got them once we got to Maine because I was worried about the river crossings and the cold. Yeah, I don't know. The gear's changed so much in the last 5 years. They were like Keen boot sandals or something. I don't know what they were. But
we're just Crocs. I don't know if that'll be. That probably won't be good enough.
I worried that they would float off my feet because it's like the rivers in Maine were like coming up to my waist, and I'm 6'1", and my wife is like 5'5", so she was like, it was like way up high on her. And it's so funny. There's actually a picture that I've not posted yet online, and probably, hopefully, never will. We would literally to make sure our clothes wouldn't freeze in Maine. Because it was like 30-something degrees, we would literally get butt naked and just cross the rivers with our sandals on. And it was just like the most... So prepare yourself for that mentally. I was like, this is so awkward, but like at that point in the trail, you don't care anymore. We were with like 4 or 5 other people, and we're just like a bunch of naked people in the woods crossing these rivers. But yeah, there's some big boulders in those rivers. It's a little hairy. Like you got to like watch your step. So, and I know the sunlight's you're going to be losing sunlight daily. That's what sucks. So have you guys done any night hiking yet?
Technically, no. We took a day. I think it had to be at least 98, 99 degrees in Virginia. And I think we quit probably about 8 miles in at like 2 p.m. And we were like, we're just going to wait until like 8 p.m. and start hiking. And so I think we stopped hiking around midnight. So I wouldn't call that like night hiking.
Yeah.
We were thinking about doing it through PA, but I know some people in our family have like a really big fear of rattlesnakes, and they're afraid that they were going to step on them in the middle of the night. So we just kind of suffered.
You have any run-ins with rattlesnakes?
We saw a few of them. In Tennessee, we saw this one like really thick, like big, right on the trail, like hissing really hard at us. One of our family members threw a rock at it, which was not a smart idea. PA, we saw probably 2 or 3 of them, but they're pretty off. I know a lot of people were part of a group chat of all the northbound Thru-hikers on Facebook, and everyone started posting for like a month solid, like a different rattlesnake or copperhead a day. But,
what the struggle was, like, if not for me, because I was always in the back, but the guys that would hike in front of us, they'd get basically right on top of them and almost step on one, and they wouldn't even rattle to make a noise. And so they're like, well, like, at least if it's a rattlesnake, come on, at least announce yourself so you know that it's there. But they got pretty close to stepping on them a couple times, but we're always able to get back in time before anything happened.
The heat for me was so much worse than the cold on the trail, like those 90 degrees. Did you have any droughts stuff you had to deal with out in New York, especially?
PA was a drought, but luckily Trail Angels left water everywhere, so that wasn't an issue. New Jersey was fine. New York was kind of a mess, right?
Yeah, New York and Connecticut were hard. They're just...
Probably towards I think it was the second to last day in New York, she actually passed out from heat exhaustion.
And dehydration,
because we were just trying to camel for like 10, 15 miles for like 3 days in a row. Mm-hmm. And it just like didn't work out. I think we were just pushing our bodies a little too hard.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the things like a lot of people don't realize about through hiking and stuff is like you realize real quick how important water is. Like you can deal with being hungry, but like when you run out of water and you start getting a headache and feeling like shit, like that's real. Like you passed out. That's like it's no joke.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep. Connecticut too was like a drought. It was dry, and there was just not that we expected, but there was just no water caches anywhere in Connecticut. It was a mess. The wells that you had to pump from, with just like the iron in the water was so disgusting.
Yep.
The hardest part is when you would pass a water source that was like by a farm, and all the host comments are saying like, do not drink the water. And you're staring at it like, am I going to drink this water or should I not? It's hard.
By that point, we didn't care. We would just drink it.
Yeah.
We just, I mean, I had a Sawyer filter. I had the drops. If it was like real gnarly looking, we'd filter it through the Sawyer, and then we'd put some of the drops in there. I was just I need water. I don't care.
Yep.
Like, I'm still alive. I mean, that speaks for something, I guess.
But we are so happy to get back up north again because the water is cold again.
Oh,
and
my
we're
God.
so happy.
Don't have to scoop anymore. You can actually get it from a running source.
Oh, that was the worst. Yeah, like you have to like keep a little scoop in your container to fill up your water bags and stuff.
Yeah.
It's a pain in the ass for sure.
Yeah, my favorite is when it would be like a puddle that you'd have to scoop from, and then like you walk over to it and all the frogs jump in the water and you're like, oh.
Did you guys run into any people out there that didn't filter their water?
Yes. There was a guy we were hiking with that didn't have a filter. His name was Jaybird, and he was carrying like no equipment at all. And he literally was like, yeah, I'm just hoping for the best. Let's drink it. Actually, one of our family members, we did a slack pack one day, and he decided he wasn't going to carry a backpack. So he carried a cup with him, and that was it. And he was just scooping and drinking from the water source. And we're all being like, dude, you're literally going to get sick. Thankfully he didn't, but he literally just scooped all day.
Yep.
Yeah. We always filtered when I was out there because I was like, I've spent so much time and money and effort on this. I don't even want to take the risk to get like, cause you get sick like that, you get giardia, you're off the trail.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
I wasn't willing to take that risk. I know some other people don't disagree or whatever, but that's,
people say that if you get it from a spring where you're literally getting it right out of the rocks, like that's safe to do. And I guess I trust that, but I don't trust it enough for myself to actually do it.
But now that we also have a deadline of October 1st, like we don't have a margin of error, like to get off trail for a week and a half and recover.
Not going to happen.
So what's your plan for the next few weeks here? You got basically a solid month and a few days to get to October 1st. You got your miles planned out, or are you just going to go as far as you can every day?
Like she said before, we have to do 13 miles a day, excluding zeros and everything, to get there by October 1st. Mm-hmm. So we're just banking up miles. We usually do about like 18 to 20.
In Vermont, you can still do 20s. You might be hiking all day, but you can totally do that. And so that right there, if you do 20 every single day, you can bank up like within 3 days, 21 miles. There you go. So I think as long as we can do that, and then we talked to two southbounders about the whites, and they say you can still do 10 to 12 miles. It's just dawn to dusk. So if that's what we have to do, that's what we do, and we'll make it work to get there on time.
Yeah, your mileage definitely drops a hair, but like if you don't screw around, I think that's definitely doable, especially with where you guys are at. We finished on October 25th, and it was so cold. Like all the last couple mountains were just snow. Like Katahdin was iced over. They were like, "Don't go up there," and we're like, "Okay, bye." Like I'm not coming back. So I think you guys, you're on track for to finish strong. Mm-hmm. Do you have any plans for when it's over? You guys like have you gotten that far yet? Or are you still just in trail mode?
Yeah, actually, we just started reaching out. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so since we're both teachers, at least from New Jersey, most of New Jersey teaching has gone online, and we're not too thrilled by that. But we met these two Thru-hikers who have been teaching over in Asia, like teaching English in Asia for, I think, almost a decade.
Yeah.
And they gave us all this information, and we really want to apply and go teach in Korea after this ends. So we're getting the visa process started and reaching out to recruiters and everything. So I think that's our plan for at least the next year, the near future. But,
saving up enough money, come back, do another thru hike maybe.
If you had to pick, which thru hike would you do?
We keep going back and forth
between the CDT and the PCT.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. We definitely want a Triple Crown at some point. That's definitely going to be in our future. At first, I really wanted to do the PCT because I want to see all those views out there. But we've been talking about, if you're going to Triple Crown, get the harder one out of the way, CDT, and then do your victory lap on the PCT to be able to do it. And so now I'm kind of coming around to that idea. But I don't know. I don't know either.
We go back and forth every day.
It'll be one of them.
Well, my friend out there, he is actually through hiking to finish his Triple Crown right now. So he's going to be on probably around the same time you guys are finishing. I'm hoping to have him back on the podcast. He was like one of our first episodes, Kyle, and he just is out. Like, he's 19, man. He's like already triple. I was like, this is insane. So
yeah. So what was the order that he did it in?
I believe he did the AT, he did the PCT last year, and he's on the CDT right now. Like, he's posting pictures. So have to get you guys connected with him. You can talk to him about that.
Absolutely.
So this is the point in the trail where hopefully you'll start seeing moose if you haven't already. Have you?
Nope.
No?
I want to.
Nope, we really want to.
I don't know if I was lucky or what, but when I was out there, my wife and I saw 10
Whoa.
moose. And every other person that we hiked with, because at the end we all kind of fell apart. We were just rushing to the end. Nobody else saw any. I was like, how did you not see any? I saw one like every other day. I woke up with them outside my tent.
Were there any close encounters with them?
Oh yeah, dude. It was right at it was like 2 or 3 days before Katahdin. We were coming up this mountain, and I think it was that mountain, like the first time you can see Katahdin. I don't remember the name of it. It was that mountain. And we come around this corner and we're flying because we're like a few days out. And I turn this corner and I pretty much run into like a full-sized female moose with a calf. And I was like, I'm going to die. That's what my first thought was. And we kind of just backed off and we kind of bushwhacked down the mountain a little bit and came back out the other side. But that was scary.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Like bears, whatever, you get used to them and you stop even caring. But the moose, man, that was just, to this day, it's cool. They're such cool animals, though. It was right at the base of, I think it was Monroe in the Whites. We woke up to a moose outside of our tent. It just crashed through our campsite.
Whoa.
That's so cool. I hope that happens.
But have you seen porcupines and stuff? That's one thing I never saw on the trail.
I have not. We heard about one that was at a shelter. I think it was the shelter after where we had camped back in Pennsylvania. Apparently, the porcupine was keeping the campers up at night because he was chewing through the metal, aluminum that was on the bottom of the shelter. So he was not afraid of humans at all, coming right up in the middle of the night. But we haven't seen one.
Yeah, no.
I wish we had. Yeah, I'm trying to think. We saw a grouse recently. I hadn't seen one of those before. And then the wild pigs. Deer, bears.
That's about it, I guess.
That's about it. Yeah. Oh, we saw a raccoon one night. There was a raccoon and the fox. Foxes in heat. I don't know. Did you experience any of those screaming foxes in the middle of the night?
I believe in it would have been the Smokies, maybe. It was like the most blood-curdling scream. I woke up in the middle of the night.
Terrifying.
I literally was like, what the hell is that?
It sounds like a child being tortured. It's terrifying.
Yeah.
Have you had any nights out there where you hear something like that and you just wake up and your blood runs cold? You're just like, where am I? I'm going to die. I was like, is this Bigfoot? I don't know what this is, but I'm going to die out here.
Well, that was when the bear in Damascus. You want to tell that story?
Oh, yeah. So we were I think we pulled a 25 right before getting into Damascus, and we were so tired that night. We set up camp. We were still hanging our food at the time, and we went to bed, and in the middle of the night, I wake up and I see just this big nose just going up to the rainfly, just going into it. And I was hearing the lowest grunting noises, and I had no idea what was happening. And it took me a second to process that it was a bear. And I guess I had sleep paralysis. I couldn't talk, so I hit her. We share a tent, and I hit her. And I'm like, Molly starts screaming. And she just starts yelling out of her sleep. And this bear circles our campsite for at least 10 minutes. And it really wasn't that scary. It was so strange. It was so strange.
Yeah.
What else? There was something else I wanted to say. I don't remember. Never mind.
Well, there's the frog the one night we camped on the river. The tiniest creature can make the loudest noise. So we decided to aquablaze part of the Shenandoah River. And we were camping on this bank, and set up like the tent's like literally right next to the water, and you heard this frog screaming, not like a normal rabbit, and he literally like went around their tent. You could just hear the noise following. And finally one of our friends like unzipped the tent and started screaming back at him, and he finally went away. It was like no frog screaming at the top of your lungs in the middle of the night.
That was me with those owls. Oh my God, they wouldn't shut up. Like, I love owls. They're super cool. But I was like, dear God, let me sleep. They're so loud.
From side to side. Yeah.
Do you guys have any creepy run-ins with people out there?
Run-ins with people. No, it wasn't actually, but in the moment I thought I was going to die.
Yep.
So we were in the Shenandoahs sleeping in a shelter, and we had gotten up. We were still getting up early because it was just so hot. And so it was probably like 4:30 in the morning. Just had woken up in the shelter trying to get things together. And all of a sudden you start hearing bagpipe music coming from God knows where. And you see this older gentleman with this big white weird beard stumbling up the trail towards the shelter. And he's got like 2 saws on either side. And he's like holding an axe, like coming up the trail. And I was like, this is the moment. This is it. Like, I'm going to die.
The 3 of us were all looking for like an escape plan. We were like, all right, you run that way. I'll run this way. He turns off his bagpipe music, and he's a trail maintainer.
Yeah, just a trail maintainer.
And they said he got a call for a blow. He's been hiking since 1 a.m. because it was like the coolest part of the day to hike. And he said he got called for a blowdown, and the blowdown wasn't even there. It was just a weird experience.
Yeah,
it's so strange.
That was the moment that I did see my life flash before my eyes a little bit.
Yep.
Are the hostels still open, or how's that working?
Yeah.
Yeah, we first hostel we stayed at was in Hot Springs. It was Laughing Heart, and they just reopened by the time we got there. So from, I guess, the North Carolina-Georgia border all the way to Hot Springs, that was like our very isolated pocket. It felt like we were the only thru-hikers out there at the time. And then we got to Hot Springs. We spent a 0 there. So the first day we got there was really no one. And then the next day, all these thru-hikers started piling in. I think there was 11 or 12 of us. And everyone was saying the same story. They're like, I thought I was the only one out here. They were like, it's crazy. Like, there's a community now. But every single one since then has been open. And we've stayed at probably a dozen of them.
Yeah, we stayed at the Broken Fiddle, and there were tons of thru-hikers there in Damascus.
Uncle Johnny's and
Irwin. There were people there. Where else? Black Bear, which is like a little hostel, more of a resort, but they also have a bunkhouse. We stayed there, and there was another thru-hiker there. It's very isolated pockets, and you're more seeing the community through the trail logs and when you do show up somewhere at a hostel. But yeah, they've all been open for the most part.
Yeah. Is there any other of them that are kind of more favorite than others that you stayed at? Because I stayed in, I won't mention their names, but I stayed in some pretty scuzzy ones that kind of made me
we just stayed at one like that.
You're like, oh. Like, my standards are pretty low after through hiking, but like, damn. Where you have any like cool experiences with other through hikers? I know you guys said you had a tramley. Have you been together like this whole time, or has it been kind of like touch and go?
Yeah, so we met them. So we both started on the same day, March 16th. We didn't know each other. They're from Tampa, Florida. We're from Jersey. And we met up in Hiawassee. We took a 0 in Hiawassee, and they took a Nero, and then we both got a shuttle back. I think we stayed at the Budget Inn in Hiawassee. Yep. And then we got a shuttle back to the trail, and we decided just to start hiking together, and we'd meet up at camp. And then we got off together. And I think we all wanted to stick together as a group just because we didn't know what the trail was going to be like when we got back on.
Yeah.
And we've been going ever since. We hike pretty much the same amount of mileage, and it's been fun. It's the 4 of us.
Yeah, it's actually the first time we did not camp together was about 3 days ago, and that's the only time we haven't camped at the same spot. So we do about the same mileage, which is really nice to have someone go on the same pace as you, especially in a year like this. But
So there's like not that many people out there? That's crazy.
I'm going to say there's probably within like 30, 40 miles of us, there's probably about 30 to 40 people. So like there's a good amount, but it's not it's not populated.
Yeah, there's a tramway of about 6 that are about, I think, a day and a half ahead of us. So we hike around them a little bit. There's 2 or 3 people behind us. So it's just very isolated, but that's normal at this point in the through hike anyways.
Oh yeah. So, I was going to say, by this point, like, it's the people who are going to make it, and then everybody else who's not got off like in Virginia. It like falls apart completely after Virginia. Do you guys feel that way?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Not even this year though. Like most of the people that got off when that ATC letter went out.
Yes.
So
it was over with.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that or when Shenandoah or the Smokies closed back down. Like they were like, okay, that's it.
So what was your mentality going into this? Is the trail like how you thought it would be, or is it completely different?
It was kind of what I thought it was going to be.
I mean, we had hiked a lot on the East Coast, so in that sense, like we knew what the trail was like from a terrain standpoint, I would say. The community has been just even more generous and kind and loving than I could have ever imagined. You hear people talk about it, but you don't really know until you're out there just how wonderful people are.
And since there aren't many people out, like the personal connections that you make, I don't know what it's like in years past, but it feels very, very personal.
Yeah.
Like people that we don't see for 500-600 miles and you meet up, it's like the best reunion in the world. And physicality wise, it's pretty what we thought it was going to be. Mentally, is it challenging? Has it been challenging?
Yeah, there are definitely days you wake up and you're like, I don't want to hike today, and you got to get up and hike because you're in the middle of the woods and don't have another choice, regardless of what you want to do. So I'd say mentally, honestly, the hardest part wasn't until like New York. New York like took a beating on me, and so that was hard. But I really loved, it's actually surprised me. I thought I was going to be listening to podcasts and audiobooks a lot more than I actually ended up, because I just love being in the woods. So that actually surprised me in a better way, I think. I've been really good at like just staying present in the moment, hiking through the woods and loving it.
I think we're both nature lovers, which like really helps the day not feel so mundane. Like being able to actually enjoy the environment and atmosphere around us.
Yeah, we did listen to quite a few audiobooks there towards like the grinder in the middle, like pretty much like the end of Virginia through New York, which I would consider like the most quote unquote boring part of the trail. Like it was just like walking and walking and walking, and it's all just closed in. There's not a lot of views. We listened to quite a few audiobooks, but yeah, by the time we hit Maine and stuff, it was just like, oh my God, I can't believe we're here. Like this.
Yeah. What was the hardest state for you?
I would say the hardest state mentally and physically was Maine, but I don't know. I don't think I recall getting like the quote unquote Virginia blues, but like you guys, like I had a realistic expectation, I think, because like kind of what I was trying to get at is a lot of people have this like romanticized view of the Appalachian Trail. Like I'm going to go out there and be one with nature. And yeah, that does happen, as you know, but like it doesn't happen in the way that you think it does. Like it's kind of like how the ultra marathoners talk about like the runner's high or something. Like you just get that after a while. Like it's just normal. You're in great shape. You feel awesome. And that like the challenge becomes what gets you in touch with nature. It's not the like Zen in the woods kind of thing, but that comes with time.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I would agree with that.
Did you have any, you guys are still on the trail, so it might be awkward for you, but you get like people out there that just annoy the living shit out of you, like with your Thru-Hikers around you?
Yes.
We've been running away from somebody currently.
It's just never like, yeah, it's so awkward too, because like you don't want to be an asshole because you know they're going to be around you all the time, but at the same time you're like, get this dude away from me. Like,
I do not want to.
Yeah, there's this one dude who like every hostel owner is just like, this kid needs to leave, and he's like, he smells so bad, and I know Thru-Hikers smell so bad, but he takes a shower and he just stinks, and you're like, did you even use soap?
Yeah.
But overall, no, the people have been pretty good. We haven't been annoyed of really, like I could probably count like 2-3 people on my hand.
Yeah, honestly, the most annoying thing is the day hikers on the weekends, I would say, because they're the ones that look at you with your backpack on and they're like, oh, well, I'll be faster than them, so I don't have to let them pass you. And then you're like, excuse me, please, like I am on a mission right now.
Bear Mountain State Park, New York.
Oh my gosh.
The worst.
I remember. Did you guys have to deal with chafing? That was something that killed me.
Yeah.
I haven't had any.
Yeah, I'm carrying that baby butt paste that you can use, and that's helping, but it's because of the salt. So like being able to wash your clothes every night is so important, because if you don't, like, it hurts, man. It's not fun.
We were at New York. Like, I have terrible memories of New York, and I still like hate New York, and they have like terribly maintained trails. Like, I don't know what it is. And my buddy has a podcast, 46 to 46 podcast. And even like people from New York are like, yeah, our trails aren't maintained that well. So it's like, I got lost in New York a lot. I got super hot. They had no water. We went, at one point we stopped at one of those delis and we bought beer cans and tucked them between our legs just to like the chafing to stop burning. And then when they got warm, we drank them and we just hiked out. Yeah, it's brutal. I think chafing is the worst pain. I like wrecked my ankle on the trail, like taped it up for like 100 miles because I thought it was broken. But like chafing was worse.
It was so, I remember there was a day we were going into Glasgow, Virginia, and it had just rained. So everything was wet and it was just rubbing constantly. And I went to sit down in the car of the shuttle and I couldn't even put my butt on the seat because it just stung. Like it was awful. I looked ridiculous waddling around like everywhere, trying not to make sure my legs weren't touching anything. Yep. It was bad.
To go back to the New York thing, you said the trails were maintained really poorly. We got to Bear Mountain and stayed at a motel there right as soon as the tropical storm that just hit the East Coast happened, and the blowdowns were horrible. I don't think you could go 0.1, 0.2 down the trail without like having to completely reroute yourself around like a fallen down tree.
Yeah, you couldn't even see where the trail was.
From Bear Mountain all the way until like the start of Connecticut, we were just kind of bushwhacking. It was rough.
It was really bad. Yeah.
So now that we're getting towards the end of your journey here, I want to say, like, I wish you guys luck. You're very close to the ending. It looks like you guys are well on your way. So I hope everything goes as you planned. I've been following you guys on Instagram. Why don't you let everybody know that's listening where they can find you and kind of follow the rest of your story. Hoping to get this out around the time you finish so that maybe we can align that up somehow. So just let people know where to find you, and we will go from there.
Awesome. Yeah, so we have a YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook, and you can find it at Let's Trek Together. That's pretty much it. We're posting on Instagram daily. We're trying to get our vlogs up. I think we're always about 2 weeks behind on our vlogs, but we're trying to get that up. Facebook.
Same as Instagram.
So at Let's Trek Together. That's where you can find us.
It's actually been fun talking to people that are actually on the trail, because I always have talked to people that have been done with it. So it's completely different to get that perspective. And like I said, I hope you guys finish strong, and I will let you know when this podcast is coming out, and we'll talk to you all next time.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us.
Have fun. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this episode of the Aptitude Outdoors podcast here on YouTube. If you can, go down below and hit that subscribe button. I want to thank Danny and Molly from Let's Trek Together for coming on the podcast and sharing their awesome story of their Appalachian Trail Thru-hike. If you can, make sure you head over to Let's Trek Together on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, and follow what they're doing. They got some pretty big things coming up in the future. So thanks again. I'll see you all next time.